This program airs statewide on California Public Television and is a California's Gold classic. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association.
Hi, I'm Huell, and right now we've taken a quick stop here on the side of the 134 freeway right outside of Los Angeles. Now we've made a stop to take a look at a rock, a big rock, but this is not just any big rock, this is Eagle Rock. Now everybody around here knows about it, and the reason it's called Eagle Rock is because in the afternoon when the sun hits the rock just the right way, it really does look like there's a big eagle up there. Over the years, countless photographs and paintings have been done about this rock, which is now listed as an official historic landmark. Well, we could stay here all day looking at this rock, but we got to be moving on. We've got 3 more stops to make on this adventure. And as always, you're invited to come along as we continue our search for California's gold.
Hello there. My name's Charlie Porter from San Diego, and I built this custom band organ, and I'd like to share a tune with you on it, one of my very favorites.
Well, there we were, barreling down River Road, a beautiful scenic route that follows the banks of the Sacramento River. Now, this is Delta country, and we were heading south from Sacramento in search of a little town that's very much a part of California's history. And then, all of a sudden, there was the sign. So we turned right, went down a little hill, and we were there. It's like going back in time. In fact, at first you think you're on a movie set, but all this is real. Welcome to the little town of Locke, which has the distinction of being the only town in the nation founded and settled entirely by Chinese. The Chinese first came to California to mine gold. They also played a major role in the construction of the railroads. However, when the first transcontinental railroad was completed in California in 1869, thousands of Chinese were suddenly out of work and ended up migrating to the Delta country to build levees and go into agriculture. In fact, a rather substantial Chinese population existed in the area, and many of the towns had Chinese sections. In 1915, though, a small group of Chinese, all originally from the Zhongshan district of China, decided to build their own town. So they leased some land right in the middle of a big pear orchard by the river, and Locke was born. For half a century, it was a thriving place, populated entirely by Chinese, all speaking the same dialect. But by the early 1950s, the population started dwindling down, and today, except for a few tourists and a few remaining residents, things are pretty quiet. Now, here are a group of tourists, right?
Right.
Where are you all from?
We're from Marion, Ohio.
From Ohio and from
Chicago.
Chicago. Now, what brings you to Locke?
My mother, this is my sister, our mother was born in Walnut Grove, which is just down the road, and I understand they had a fire, so all the Chinese moved to Locke back, according to the plaque there in 1915. So they had never been here. I had stopped here once before when I was on vacation. We're going to show them where our mother was born and raised.
Wow, so this is like coming back home.
Yeah, she was born about before the turn of the century.
Now, what do you think about this little town?
It's interesting, bring back memories.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Well, that reminds me of the Old West, you know, what you see, you know.
The Old West?
Yeah.
Now, here's a lady who is painting Locke.
Oh, yes, it's a really exciting place to paint. It's full of history, and it's right on the Delta, and the Chinese culture is just oozing out of every pore.
Now, you're working on one of the houses up there.
Yeah, I'm looking down the road here at this scene. We got a beautiful old building here. It's very rustic, very picturesque. Adds a lot to your interest as an artist to do something that has age to it. And it sort of goes in with the environment here. You know, the environment is old and picturesque, and there's a certain character that you try to get in your work.
Do it. Oh my, 4 or 5.
And speaking of character, there's a place right in the middle of Locke, in fact, right on Main Street, that has all the character you'd ever want and more. It's called Al's Place. Been open since 1934, and it's the local hangout. The place where you go for juicy steaks and local gossip, for a cold beer and a quick game of river dice. There's always something going on inside Al's. I got here just in time, just as you're cutting into that steak.
Yeah, you just cut me off at the pass is what you did.
Now, do you all come up here often?
Well, we have for about, let's see, 15 years.
Really?
Yeah. This elderly broken gentleman here introduced me to Al's about 15 years ago. And my wife and I got in the habit. I mean, it's just a nice way to go, you know, from Sacramento, have one of these marvelous steak sandwiches and a martini, and drive home again.
How would you describe the atmosphere in this place to somebody who's never been here before?
Loose.
Well, moving right along, one of the more positive things that's happened in Locke over the past couple of years is that a good number of artists have moved in, either to live or set up little shops or both. What's it like to live in this place?
Well, it's slow and it's busy. It's about anything you like.
What do you mean it's slow and it's busy?
Well, some days like today, there's nothing going on. And later this afternoon, there might be 100 people come in.
Really?
Yes. Might be 100 bikers, who knows? might be 100 limos. You'd never know.
Well, while we were there, we didn't see any limos and just one biker. But to find out what Locke used to be like in its heyday, I spent some time with Connie King, who's lived in this little town for over 40 years. And she took me to a part of town most visitors never see.
Well, this all this garden used to be farmed by Chinese elderlies. In fact, there's still one lady farm over there, and she's 92 years old.
And she's still farming?
She's still doing the garden around here. This is the way she spends her time. She's out here in the summertime, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and she worked there all day, 92 years old. And I think that's what keeping her going is her garden.
So the gardens have always been very important to the Chinese.
Right, And well,
for food or for flowers?
No, it's for pleasure and give them something to do. This is a Chinese date, and yeah, I picked one for you.
Chinese dates?
Chinese, this is what it look like.
Well, what do you use them for?
We use it for soup or for cooking. Try this. Try this.
You mean I eat it right now?
Yeah, you can eat it.
It's great.
It's sweet, very sweet, and we make good soup out of it. We use it for any kind of Chinese cooking. We cook fish with it, even in chicken. We put in it give you a different flavor.
So how long do you think this tree has been here, and who planted it?
It was planted by a Chinese woman, and she's been gone for about 4 or 5 years. And this tree will live for quite a while.
Well, after spending the morning with Connie and getting the $5 garden tour, I spent the afternoon with Ping Can Lee, who's lived his entire life in Locke. In fact, in these parts, he's an honest-to-goodness celebrity because his father, Charlie Lee Bing, founded the town back in 1915.
Now, do you know this fellow up here?
Sure, I know him. Known him a long time. Oh, 2 dogs up there.
What's his name?
Joe Chow.
Joe Chow.
Yeah, he's an old timer here. Long time.
Now, how long has Joe lived here in
Long time. Hey, how long you live here, Joe? What year? Long time, isn't it? 1950? 40-something. 40-something, huh?
About 30, 40 years.
No, yeah, oh yeah, he lived 35 years.
35 years.
Sure.
Do you know the name of every single person, Chinese person in
Oh
town?
yeah, I know him. He knows them all too. There's not that many anymore.
How many would you say?
Now, 20, 25.
That's about it.
That's about all. But they are real Chinese. They live here. There's a few that just, come.
Now, this is the business part of town
This is
here.
a downtown Locke.
But how do we get to where people live?
Well, here, this thoroughfare here, so to speak, right down here.
So these little...
Well, these haven't changed. They haven't changed. I play marbles, I play Chinese games, whatever we have.
So they were always on these wooden sidewalks like
no,
this?
originally it was just dirt.
Oh, just
dirt?
Yes,
and then later on they put a little walk around here. Oh, I should make things work a little easier, I guess. And here we come to the residential part of Locke.
Now, where did you live all these years?
I'm going to point out where I was born, up Main Street. I was born downtown.
And then you moved back here to the residential part of Locke.
I moved back here residential in 1938. We left the place, not my original place, a second residence, and came down here because this is a bigger house. This house over here, these 2 houses.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a church. Then I was next door to it.
So this was the Locke Church?
This was a Locke Baptist Church.
Uh-huh.
The Baptist Church. Dr. Shepherd came in here and built it in the early 20s.
These are wonderful memories you have of this place. Does it make you kind of sad in a way to see it not the way it used to be?
Well, it's just like anything else. Time do change. But, of course, I was lucky enough to be born here.
So this was truly a unique living experience.
It is very unique because, as I understand it, it's the only one that's standing today in America that was created by the Chinese. And this place was a Chinatown.
Now, to be honest with you, I'd never even heard of Locke before I went there. But after being there a couple of days and spending some time with the nice people who call it home, I think I understand why they're so proud of their little Delta town, with its rickety kind of off-center buildings and its rich cultural heritage. A little town that's very much a part of California's gold. Next, we go to a barbecue in Alvino Siva's backyard. Alvino lives in the town of Banning, which is located near Palm Springs in Riverside County. Now, this was quite a picnic, complete with homemade Indian fry bread, which is kind of like a fluffy tortilla. But I was invited not only for the good food and fellowship, but to witness firsthand an ancient Indian tradition. The Cahuillas are a Southern California tribe of Indians, which can trace their origins in the San Bernardino mountain area back at least 6,000 years. About 2,000 Cahuillas remain in the area on reservations and in the general communities. Now, what we're listening to is what some scholars feel may be the oldest music in North America. They're called Cahuilla bird songs, and they've never been written down. They've been passed down directly through the generations. And on this very special afternoon, Alvino and some of the other elders were teaching these songs to younger members of the tribe. Now, these songs, when you hear somebody talk about bird songs, you would think that the songs would sound in some way like the sounds of birds, but that's not true.
No, the songs actually talk about the movements of the first people around the continent of North America. They're sizing up the land and settling on where they're going to live, which ends up being right here in Southern California. And then once settling here, transforming into different forms of life, many of which are birds. And the setting in motion the cycles of rhythm of nature, the seasons, etc. So the term birdsong is a very large poetic that is encompassing the idea of animate life, evolving, moving, learning, growing, etc. Many of the songs talk about the transition of people into deer. They talk about the transition of people into birds. They talk about movements around the land. They're all tied into the creation story of these people.
Now, what was that one all about? What was that one all about?
Well,
what was it all about?
Well, this is into the. We've gone into we've probably gone into it about a half hour into the singing, and then the dancing commences. And this is one of our dances that Robert just performed.
Do you ever know when the dancing is going to start, or does it just kind of start
up to the individual? Yeah, when he's ready. Yeah.
So you were ready.
That spring was boom. You know.
How do they teach it to you? How do you learn this?
Wrote, just over and over. Eventually it sinks in. For me, there's a little process. I mean, when I first hear a song, I listen to the rhythm and I try to get the chord.
So you get the rhythm with the chord?
Yeah, and get the melody going in my head a few times. And then I start humming the melody. So I, get that in there. And then the words come last. That comes last, but it goes like a step like that. You learn a lot about how the old times were and what they had to go through as a generation. You learn a lot about old ceremonies and old styles and old ways of singing that aren't around anymore. And they give to us the best parts, the strongest parts that survived in a way, if you think of it that way, and they're giving that to us to carry on. And it's great to work with them. You learn a lot from them.
Makes you feel good that you're giving something of yourself to somebody else, from your heart and from everything else. And it's a great feeling to hear these students sing these songs.
For me, it's an honor, and it's a great deal of respect, because these are old timers. When they go, whoever they taught the songs to, they're the ones who are going to carry it on. It's been a real privilege for me to be able to learn the songs from them. I have a great respect for them. Without them, none of us would know these songs, and that's my main concern, is that at least I can say when these guys go, there's a few of us that will hopefully maybe carry on and still know the songs.
So the songs echo through the San Bernardino Mountains, just like they have for countless centuries. Cahuilla Indian bird songs, part of a proud heritage being passed on to yet another generation. There was another sound in the air at our next destination, a sound that in its own way was also music to the ears of the people there. Greetings from the Threshing Bee, an antique engine show held in Vista in northern San Diego County. Now, if you're into old steam engines, or old tractors, or old caterpillars, or any other kind of old steam-driven contraptions that huff and puff and put out smoke rings, you'd love this show. It all takes place on the grounds of the Antique Gas and Steam Engine Museum, and people come here from all over for an up-close and personal look at these wonderful old machines. Now what's going on over here?
Well, we're shelling little corn today.
Shelling corn?
Dried corn on the cob. This is field corn. This is a 1919 model John Deere #2 corn sheller. It means it takes 2 cobs at a time.
Boy, that works, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
What do you use a machine like this for, really?
Well, for things like this, running this mortising machine, or for pumping water, or for grinding corn, anything you can hook the belt up to, you can run a machine with it.
Now, how old is this machine?
This same age I am, 1928.
Well, you both look to me like you're holding up pretty good.
Better paint on this one, though.
Now, I've got to ask, why would somebody be interested in having an antique concrete mixer?
Well, because I built my house with it 50 years ago. That's right.
That's the same one?
Yeah, sure. All you got to do is have a lot of energy and a lot of lose your marbles, and you can put them back the way they were when they were original.
Now, we're standing in front of what kind of boiler is this?
This is a vertical fire tube boiler. This is a Navy surplus piece of equipment.
So this is bought for with taxpayer money?
Well, it was originally paid for with taxpayer money.
Now, you got this thing. Can we open it up and take a look at it? There is a real fire in there. Whoa! And that's what's making the big wheel turn around.
That's correct. This is the fire that boils the water that makes the steam that turns the wheel.
Now, this is a famous Caterpillar, isn't it?
Right. The last one from the Panama Canal.
From the Panama Canal?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, this really is unique, though, isn't it? I mean, you got something that nobody else has.
The only one left, that's it.
This is the only one left?
Only one.
I think it's your toy, isn't it? Oh, yes, indeed. Why are you nodding like that?
Yes. That's his toy.
How much time does he spend out in the garage tinkering on these things?
Just about all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, at least you know he's not getting in any kind of trouble.
Yeah, I know where he is. I'll put it that way.
By and large, they are just toys. It's my hobby, and I have a good time doing it.
Now, do you pass this knowledge on to anyone else, or?
I'm a high school metal shop teacher.
Oh, well, your students must love you.
I hope so. That's one of the aims of my projects here, is to inspire students.
So you restored this whole thing yourself?
Right.
Why?
Well, my old man got me into it, I guess. He's got 19 of them at home. These other 3 are his. It's a hobby.
You've got 19 tractors in your backyard?
We sure do.
What does your backyard look like?
Well, tractor yard.
Now, what are you telling your kids about all these tractors here today?
Well, there's not much I have to tell them. They know pretty much about them. We own tractors ourselves.
So you have tractors? You live on a farm?
No, not at all. I live in a beach community on just a regular residential street, 50 by 100-foot lot.
And you have tractors there?
6 tractors, that's right.
Why?
I'm trying to bring farming back to the beach community.
How old is this thing?
1918, International.
Well, it still runs pretty good.
Still runs very well. We had it completely restored when we got it.
Now, what's going on around here?
Well, this is an early John Deere hay press.
A hay press?
Hay press, yes. It's not a hay baler, it's a hay press.
You get a lot of comments from people on this thing? What do they say to you when they see it?
Well, they want to know, does it really work? Usually, does it really work? And it does. It works real well.
Well, it may not look modern, but it sure does look nice, doesn't it?
Well, we'll see in a few more years how many of these new modern balers are still working.
What do you think the appeal is of all this old equipment?
I don't know, just something about
Everybody likes it, I think. I think everyone likes to see the old things that we used to have that are still running.
But this was my interest in my life.
Really?
That's why I'm here. I love this stuff.
Now, does this bring back good memories or memories of having to work real hard?
Oh, no, there was never hard work on a farm. It was all fun. That's just part of living. Just part of living.
The Threshing Bee, an antique engine show in Vista. It's as American as apple pie. an honest-to-goodness, old-fashioned, down-home celebration. A celebration of old steam-driven engines and machines, and of California's proud agricultural past.
Well, that's the end of our very first program, and already we've traveled a lot of miles and met a lot of nice people. People I'd like to thank for sharing their stories with all of us. Of course, I'd like to thank all of you for watching and invite you to tune in again next time as we continue our search for California gold. Goodbye. Bye. Here we go. Now, part of being a steam engine man is getting to blow the whistle, right?
Right. We blow the whistle. Somebody goes to work early and he blows the whistle to wake the people up and get them to come to work. They blow the whistle to stop for a coffee break, and they blow the whistle to stop for lunch, and then they blow it at the end of the day so they can go home.
Well, let's blow the whistle.
Okay, here we go.
Quitting time.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.